Happy New Year, everyone. I am your homegirl, Ronnika. This is the Please Do Tell podcast. Welcome back, y'all. So, if you are new here and you're probably watching this on YouTube, or you could be watching clips across social media, well, don't forget to like and subscribe. And then also share with a friend, a homie, because that's what we go from friends to homies. You'll figure this out soon enough, okay? All right, so let's get into it. I am going to give you some fresh stories for story time because I've been really thinking about it, especially since my last episode. What can I give you this year? January, we're always talking about, New Year's resolutions. Let's switch this up a little bit, okay? All right, so I'm going to start with my At the Playground story, but honestly, before I start there is, again, I am still getting the notifications and all the love for everyone that has been following Story Salon, and Story Salon is really my way of putting all of the projects and stories that I've ever been a part of under one roof, which will be Story Salon, which we will be taking Black stories and making them public through published materials, digital archives, and exhibits. So, and the first launch will be the digital launch of the Retracing Their Steps exhibit, which will be my quest and my journey of telling the story of my family's Great Migration story, which is a lot of twists and turns, so you don't want to miss that. So the digital launch will be on February 1st across all social media. So look for Retracing Their Steps with Story Salon, and then we're going to be looking to launch the larger exhibit in September, and you'll hear more about that soon. But really just focusing on getting this Kickstarter campaign together. If you've done one, hit up your girl, because I'll be needing a little love, a little encouragement. So let me know if you've done one. I've definitely done one in the past, and there's so many things that I've learned since doing that last one. Oof, it'll be 10 years ago, just about 10 years ago, that I decided to do put Final 48 project out there, which was the journey of grief, which is the journey of grief in the Black community. But now we're all about retracing their steps with the Story Salon. So again, if you haven't, find us on social media, connect with us, and if you're trying to get into some ancestry stories, hit up your homegirl. All right, okay. So you all, today is January 4th. I'm recording on January 4th, and my birthday is in exactly 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from today, I will be turning a year older. As so many people like to say, a year on the sun. I'll be like, listen, it is another year that God gave me to come holla at y'all. So I am grateful for that. It's going to be it's going to be some content for you. My friends may show up in there. My family, you might even get Jake in there. I'm just saying. But we're excited. So 2 weeks from today, and here's why my birthdays in January hits a little different. Shall we go to the playground? Of course. Yay! At the playground, So I do this at the playground segment because if you haven't been a homie, if you're new here, and if you just need a little refresher, is that in elementary school, the 4th through 6th grade, I didn't have recess. And it wasn't because I was bad. It was because we did mental math in place of that. So if you want to throw any percentage at me, especially when we're out to eat, if you're like, I don't know what the gratuity is, I can tell you the 10, 15, the 20, and the 30%. I got you. Don't even worry about it. But as far as like a whole bunch of stories being, I want to say, in my memory bank from elementary school that I didn't get a chance to tell on that playground, I'll be telling it to my homies. And then those homies be telling their homies. And then that's how we all become homies, okay? All right. So at the playground, what I'm thinking about this month is, y'all, I went back and I looked at a blog post, probably one of the last blog posts I did before even doing the Still Thankful in November. It was a picture of me on a scale, and this was 2016, I believe. Yeah, this was after I was working with a trainer, right? And oh my gosh, I had got down. Okay, I noticed a pattern with myself, so I'm gonna start there. I notice a pattern when I'm unhappy. I turn to food. I turn to socializing with friends, which that could be at a bar, and then I make new friends at a bar, and then that becomes just a whole ripple effect of things. But growing up, I think I've said it before, but hey, I have baby boomer parents, I have Gen X siblings, and I had my first friends were born in 1912 and 1921. So that just tells you how I grew up. I kind of grew up as an old soul. And if you can even think about the movie Ray, about Ray Charles, and how he gauged what women he was going to entertain by feeling their wrists. Do you remember that part? Like he could tell how much you weighed by just trying out the wrist. So honestly, I think that my grandfather and Ray Charles were kind of born in the same time. I think they were born around the same time. And my grandfather, and some of y'all gonna be like, what? Like that you actually grew up like that? My granddad, and we thought, now that we're older, my cousins and I, and we talk about it, and we even think about it too. My sister definitely, we talk about it a lot. Is my grandfather used to weigh us. Yes, weigh. 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 He used to weigh us. So as soon as we came in the door, Grandpa would say, "Hey, so good to see you. Go and get on that scale for me." The scale was in the bathroom. Sometimes he would bring it out of the bathroom, but if you want to just keep down the embarrassment, you stay in the bathroom with that scale. And he took notes. Like he had a ledger of like our weight fluctuations. He knew how much we weighed. And for me, being the youngest granddaughter on that side, I thought it was funny and fun. Not looking at the rest of my cousins that are like, this is not funny nor fun. And then my sister was like, it's never been funny or fun. But she said, you being one of the youngers, you would just run and be like, yay, weigh me next. Not thinking about the emotional damage that it was doing to other family members, including my aunts. And then I thought about how this behavior was even just passed down to my dad, to us, that now we're just really, I don't even know if it's subconscious. I know we're more conscious than anything of our weight. And it wasn't even, I don't even think it was from the viewpoint of back then. I'm saying back then. It wasn't from the, like, oh, they're unhealthy or anything like that. I think it was more of just like the image. And then you think about how that could also be translated in church. And I've been reflecting on my childhood and thinking about just certain things that were said to me or things that I just observed. And I'm like, man, how did that show up as an adult now? You'll have comments in the church or just even in your own family like, oh man, that she's getting a little big, she's getting a little out there. And not once thinking about just how that was going to show up all the time as an adult. So whenever I think about New Year's resolutions when it comes to like the gym, and even thinking about that blog post about me saying like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm not at my goal weight, but I'm at 175. Y'all, that was 8 years ago. 9 years ago. And what are some things from my childhood that are still coming up in adulthood when it comes to my weight, my emotional stability, and then how stress shows up in our lives? My granddad, because I recognize that was a time, and times change, but that was a time where there was a strong emphasis on your weight and never really factoring in what that did to our mentals and how that translated to our physical. I don't think I've asked any of my cousins how that has impacted them. And I don't think we've even talked about a lot of things that when it's regarding weight and family and just stressors, like how do we even deal with stress? Like we talk about it broadly sometimes, and we're now starting to talk about, I think, a little bit more broadly as stress, and especially after COVID, is how was it popping up in different areas of our lives. But for me, I want to talk about how stress has impacted my life and my weight. My grandfather doing that years ago, as I stated before, yeah, we can laugh about it. We can kind of, we look at it like, okay, well, did it help us? Did it not help us? I mean, was it the delivery? Because I even talked about that earlier today, is that a lot of young people are like, I don't like talking to him because, he yells everything. It's definitely delivery. It is. And it's funny because I can hear even the young people that I've worked with of what elder they're talking about. I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. But because it was something that I dealt with and really didn't say much about, this new generation, they letting you know. They are letting you know one way or another. But I'm seeing, even for myself, as I think about how these stories from childhood spill over into adulthood, and I thought about how I even got up to the weight I was at before I moved back to Michigan, and then looking at how just in 2022, when I stepped on that scale, and it was a battle, and I mean a battle, for me to get out of 200. Now that is the highest, heaviest I have ever been. And I look at the date, and it says spring of 2022. And then I had to sit back and think, what were you going through then? Mentally. That when you look at pictures, video, even when I look back at the podcast, doing a podcast, even back then, I'm like, I know her, like that's me, but no, I don't know her. I lost myself for this last year. And so I see the New Year's Eve post about weighing 175 pounds, and that was just me losing that weight back in 2016. But I can say that there were jobs that I didn't like, but I think that those that broke me physically were the ones that I wanted really bad. And I can look back on that and say, man, I don't know if that was the healthiest for me. I didn't say no a lot. It was a lot of sleepless nights. It was a lot of I don't understand what's going on at home. I'm not understanding what's going on in my job. And talk about consuming bar food after 8 o'clock because that's the time you're getting off of work. You may or may not have skipped lunch that day. So your first meal is possibly at 9. And I thought, gosh, not only did I do this with the job that I left in 2021, I did that with a job that I left in 2015. And both times I saw my weight, or I saw myself get to a place that I did not recognize. Me realizing the root of why I operate the way that I do is the only way that I'll get a handle on my life. Because for a moment, I looked at those photos. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, it looks like I'm just existing. When I'm unhappy, I notice that I find ways to escape, and that's either like traveling or, like I said, going and meeting just new people at the bar. You can be drinking socially, either by myself or with friends. Overcompensating for unhappiness. And then next thing you know, my social battery is draining faster than ever before. I don't want to be around people. I don't want to socialize. I don't want to go to the events because I'm unhappy. So what did I have to do? It's been a battlefield of my mind lately. I mean, sometimes when you see me or the people that really, really know me, they've realized like, oh my goodness, she's working around the clock. She's doing this, she's doing that. But I made a decision even before coming into 2024 is saying yes more to what I want to do and no to what doesn't serve me anymore. I realize that sometimes I can self-sabotage. I can be in that area of imposter syndrome, and the work can become overwhelming. And Taraji P. Henson had one of the interviews that came out recently about her being overworked and underpaid. And when I tell you I felt that, I felt it so much so that you have to walk away from opportunities that on the outside, everybody's like, oh my gosh, you were just so great in that role. It's like, have you seen me lately? Have you seen that I don't want to go anywhere? Have you noticed that I don't want to go anywhere? Have you noticed that? On top of, I do love wearing black every day, and I do love a good uniform. But in the very beginning, it was because that was all I could fit. My jeans. I was like, I'm not finna go out here and go to nobody else's thrift store and get Levi's because I got something in there that I have to get back into. And my goal for, I want to say the last couple years, especially during COVID, was, ooh, I'm going to get back into those coats, y'all. I'm going to get back into all of my winter coats. Just you watch, I'm going to get back into all of them. That was my goal. I mean, every day I would open up my closet, the coat closet. I'd look at them, be like, you know what, girl, one day. I'm gonna be back in there one day. One day. So I just wanted to ask you, what are some ways that you have found yourself to escape from it all? What have you done? Have you looked in the mirror and just said, I don't like what I'm seeing right now? And yours might not even be a weight gain or a fluctuation of your weight. It's probably not even a sickness. It's more of I got to get out of this situation. I don't like who I am in this situation. I don't like who I am in this job. I don't like who I am in this relationship. What stress do you need to eliminate from your life in order to live it more abundantly? That is my question to you. The color for this episode, which is the first episode of 2024, is check your baggage. Check your baggage at the door. What baggage were you supposed to leave behind? And don't even really look on the year. Just think, what was some baggage I was supposed to throw out yesterday? You can still continue to purge. Just because January 1st came up, it does not mean that, oh yeah, you know what? I'll wait until next track. No, go ahead and throw it out. Throw it out. I spent the morning of January 1st going through and purging clothes, purging messages, photos, videos, because I'm not going to tell y'all. Well, I am going to tell y'all because y'all my homies. I have at least 27,000 items in my camera roll. And all of them aren't of me. Like, it could be screenshots that I've saw. Like, I'm not that vain, y'all. It could be screenshots of something that I saw or a funny video with friends. Well, no, those are I keep. I ain't even going to. Those are still in my roll. But just silly stuff that I saw in the moment that it will probably live rent-free in my head. But the most important thing that I could have done is revisit an activity that my good sister in Houston, Kendra, had us do. Actually, it was that same year in leading into 2016. Or was it 2015, girl? I think it was going into 2015. But she gave us prompts with a mason jar to just go throughout the year, really the month of January, and manifest some things. So y'all, on January 1st, I spent all morning reading through this. It's my prayer box. I believe my sister got me this prayer box some years ago. I utilized it here and there, but I decided that I wanted to kick it up a notch last year. So I didn't write anything on January 1st. My first entry was on January 4th. Y'all. Now, you were here when I read, or if you haven't, go back and check it out, y'all. When I was reading a blog post that I wrote some years ago, and I just so happened to be reading it on the day that I wrote or that I published it, which was probably also the day I wrote it. But this one right here, y'all, this was my first entry of 2023 on January 4th. Lose 30 pounds and no more high blood pressure medication. Child, I'm giving you 6 months. Y'all, let me tell you this. As I said, oh, in 2022, I was struggling 200 pounds, right? Come back 2023, I'm still teetering in that. Okay, I'm between like 192 and 199. I'm all up and through there. Just they know me by name. Even the doctor's like, Lord, is you gonna come out in the 190s? What's going on, what you need to do. And then she was telling me you need to eat to live and all of that, like stay away from these foods. Why are you soul food? Tell me more about soul food. So I'm telling her about soul food. And then it clicked to me. And I was actually August of last year, August of 2023, I had a telehealth appointment. And I told my doctor, I was like, oh, I'm in the 180s. And she said, but are you still using food as comfort? She said, you may be pulling back a little bit, but are you still using that food as comfort? And she said, if you don't stop the behavior, just that one line, if you don't stop the behavior that you're doing now, you won't be here in 10 years. And that hard talk. And when I tell you I got up off that bed, I took my shower and I said, okay, we got some living to do. And from May of 2023 to now, January 4th of 2024, ladies and gentlemen, that is 30 pounds down right here. And it was really me checking my mind of, why are you dealing with your stress like this when you can deal with your stress like this? Those Fitbit reminders to walk, I don't know if it did. I hope I did it for the 3 o'clock hour, because if not, here we go. But the Fitbit reminders, the intermittent fasting, the no, I can't go out for happy hour tonight, y'all. No, I can't do that. And then looking at just the money that was spent trying to cope with something that none of that could fix. The venting sessions, the shots, none of that can fix like what was really going on in here. It was helping me cope or helping me escape, or just like for a moment. Then I'm coming home and I'm still thinking like, oh my gosh, I have a headache. Oh my gosh, I'm still unhappy. For now, I'm y'all, I'm gonna have to post a before and an after of me buttoning up this coat that I even wore just as the latest as of Saturday. It was, wow. It was really realizing that stress can show up in so many different ways in your body, but you got to check it. It can show up in our hair, nails, teeth, skin, body overall. And then when I thought like, ooh-wee, your hair was popping on there because you weren't stressed. You weren't as stressed. Yeah, we know inflation is a thing, but who you trusting? That's all I keep hearing my mama say to me. Who you trust? Are you praying? When you worry more, you need to pray more. I know she's gonna love that when she watches this. If you pray more, you'd worry less. It's also eliminating that pride of saying like, man, I can't do it all by myself. I done made some mistakes. I tried to correct them by myself, but God is like, nope, you're gonna need a village for this one. And so those times when I'm just not at 100%, even today, my classmate and friend Ashley said, "How's it going since you walked away?" And that even like dropped my shoulders of defense, like, girl, it's been rough, but got to keep plugging forward. Because even on the way to the studio today, I was thinking, like, who's doing this work? Or as Mr. Triplet said, they waiting on you. We've been waiting on you. We've been waiting on you to do this work. We've been waiting. We've been waiting. We've been waiting. And I'm going to say that I'm here. So you got to tell people what you need, and don't take it personal when people tell you no, because they're probably working on another way to tell you yes, okay, when they really believe in what you're doing. But before we go, I just want us to check our baggage, check our stressors, check ourselves, and allow ourselves grace, because I think we're giving grace to everybody else and just not giving it to ourselves. There is a poem that I read during one of the sessions today with the Ben Harbor Alumni Association, and I want to read this poem to you that got me through many days in high school, and even as an adult, as my mom said, I still laminate and it's still up. But this is the poem that was in my bedroom that I read every day, and I want to share it with you before we close out today. Cool? Because we homies, right? Okay. So the title of it is Who's in Your Front Row? You ready? Okay. Life is a theater. Invite your audience carefully. Not everyone is healthy enough to have a front row seat in our lives. There are some people in your life that need to be loved from a distance. All caps, distance. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you let go of, or at least minimize your time with draining, negative, incompatible, not going anywhere relationships or friendships. You can't change people. They are who they are. Your time is better spent on someone that doesn't need change. Observe the relationships around you. Pay close attention. Which ones lift, child, and which ones lean? Which ones encourage and which ones discourage? Which ones are on a path of growth uphill and which ones are going downhill? When you leave certain people, do you feel better or feel worse? Which one always has drama or don't really understand, know, or appreciate you? The more you see quality, respect, growth, peace of mind, love, and truth around you, the easier it will become for you to decide who gets to sit in the front row and who should be moved to the balcony of your life. Remember that the people we hang with will have an impact on both our lives and our income. And so we must be careful to choose the people we hang out with, as well as the information with which we feed our minds. We should not share our dreams with negative people, nor feed them with negative thoughts. So I'm asking you, who's in your front row? So I am your homegirl, Ronnika. Again, happy new year to all of my homies and my soon-to-be homies and my homies as friends and my homies are homies, okay? But we will see you next time on the Please Do Tell podcast. But again, if you want to catch us, y'all, we buzzing around in these Story Salon streets. So holla at your girl, Ronnika, and we will see you next time. Bye.